This is not the Church of Emmanuel, Christ of Latter-day Saints, of Joseph Smith. This is the Church of Jesus Christ. Major victory for Satan.
The enemies of the church understand this clearly, so plain and precious.
Travis Wingoodsall. The Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi, chapter 1, verse 2. I have to repeat it, because Mormons apparently don't know of it. The Book of Mormon is all written in the learning of the Jews. And so it is no other religion but the religion of the Jews. And thus, by definition, if you use another interpretation of the Book of Mormon, you are an anti-Semite. Real clear, real simple, and you'll notice that the whole world is ganging up on the Jews right now. I wonder why. It's because of their anti-Semitism towards the Jews of their Bible, the whole Bible, even that Gospel stories. Jews wrote them. And so you cannot use Christianity religion in them, and by extension the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It is not another testament of Jesus Christ. That is a hateful thing to say. It was a hateful thing for President Spencer W. Kimball to make as a subtitle of the Book of Mormon. And so, Jasmine last night sent me a deep fake video trying to prove to me that she's real. I'm sorry, Jasmine, can't convince me. There are deep fakes out there, and that video was just too perfect. I did not see flaws. I have to see the flaws to know that it's real. And AI deep fakes, no, they're just too perfect. I can't believe that was you. I remember as a kid, hearing from the news, because yes, I was even watching the news back as a kid. I wanted to know what was going on in the world. I came across the Doctrine and Passage section that said, pay attention to the news. Okay, I obeyed. But housewives were in a frothy frenzy over Playboy airbrushing their pictures for the magazines, trying to claim that those women are not representative of real women, and that it's causing men to have unrealistic expectations of women, and that they're going to lose their horniness towards women. As a little kid, I'm confused. Really? If I watch porn, I won't be horny anymore? Well, shouldn't I watch porn then? Because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints tells me not to be horny, that it's a sin, and I need to go tell my bishop in graphic detail of what I was thinking and what I saw. And so, as a Mormon boy, I'm confused. It is art. Housewives have always struggled with themselves as art. And so regardless of whether Jasmine is real or not, it's art. But those women are shaming women about their bodies, demanding that Hugh Hefner stop his abuse of women, objectifying women. Is your body not an object? They get all this from psychologists. Psychologists tell them, hey, those other women, be a mean girl and tell them that they have unrealistic expectations of their bodies. And get them to commit murder, or suicide actually. But evangelicals call suicide murder. Similar to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But they don't publicly announce it anymore. But it's in the handbook that Nelson released. And so, yeah, with Barbie even, you've got housewives that are all enraged that Barbie's figure is unrealistic for little girls. Not even having a goddamn clue that what you're teaching your daughters is to body shame other girls and other women. Oh, you're a pear shape. Oh, you're an hourglass figure. Oh, you're a blah, blah, blah. Rather than teaching your girls that despite Barbie not having a realistic female form, she's still a human being and needs to be treated equally, and she needs friends just like you need friends. What kind of example do you want to set for your little girl? Do you want to teach your little girl to be a hater and a Karen? This is now the term. Or do you want your daughter to grow up being a friend to other women? The bond of sisterhood with some kind of pants. What's up with that? Women are weird. They bond over the most weirdest things, and it's so cute to watch. But don't get me involved. Oh, dear God. Okay. So, on my Danite Mormon LDS Church terrorist threat to the whole world, all my videos are to this end. I go over different types of videos. I have church news videos. I have the opening video for the day, which I try to make as long as possible so that I can bathe and shave, have breakfast. I have special videos of certain playlists that I have. I've recently added 2 or 3 or 4 new playlists that I'm now way behind in. I sometimes, when doing a comment reply video to somebody asking a question, it ends up being a research video, as I'm taking you through the research behind the question that was asked. And it always is a bombshell, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has lied to us. They cannot tell us the truth that we're the learning of the Jews, and so that we're not Christian and it's not Jesus as our Christ, which automatically tells you this isn't the true church. And yet, there are Mormons who continue to remain because they are Danites. They are evil. They are only Mormon for the gang mentality and attack other people who do not share their delusional thinking. And so on this video, dun, da, da, dum, da, 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 dum, beam and mote. Beam and mote alert. Aim La Grippe Tribes. I have no clue what that's supposed to mean. Is that some gang thing? And so they're saying, I'm curious, Travis, what can you tell me about Mormon gang stalking? Beam and mode alert, beam and mode alert, beam, beam, beam and mode alert. Is this Danite specific, or you tell me? eagerly awaiting your response. Thanks. Well, you're going to have to be signed out to watch the video. Hopefully YouTube won't flag my video as needing to be signed in. If I put in Jasmine's deep fake pictures. Because you won't get my response then. And so for those of you who have no idea what a gang stalking is, it's where a community of individuals claim that they're victims of gang stalking, and they all get together and share their delusional stalking that never actually happened. Psychologists do this to people as they put them under hypnosis and have them delusionally create scenarios that never happened. And so, yeah. And it's bizarre because that person just did it to me, actually stalked me to accuse me of being delusional instead. They are the ones delusional, denying my history. Beam and moan. And so instead, they're trying to claim that I am gang stalking Mormons by creating Mormons as gang stalking me. They're abusing me, and thus I'm doing it to Mormons, which is exactly what this person did to me. I showed you my mugshot. It's in mugshots.com. You can all look it up for yourselves. That other bleep bleep, that again, oh my God, YouTube is pure evil now. Pure evil. So, the other day, I was attacked on Academia. I didn't say that it was on Academia. I did that on purpose, to draw them out. I'm smarter than you. See, Jasmine, I can use my tongue too. And that person who used a fake name with me in the channel title. And yes, it was on Academia. I did not say it was on Academia. I did that on purpose. I'm smarter than you. And so they had commented on another person's comment that the person was grateful for my information and wanted to learn more and was also born and raised in Mormonism. And so this person who claimed to be Travis Wayne Goodsell, the con man, was his clever title of his name. I came on and responded to her by saying that he had searched for me and found that I was arrested for rape. Tinder date rapes. And obviously this isn't true. I don't have a Tinder account. I don't do any dating sites anymore. I did back in 2014 when I was freed from my 6-year captivity of the church. But after the miserable failures and eventually getting married for 2 years to a Karen, real name Karen, I'm too old to get involved in the dating scene. And with Mormons or ex-Mormons, I can't. They're both involved in feelings rather than science-based research with logical arguments. You know, the Mormons are, you got to get the right feeling, and ex-Mormons, you got to get the wrong feeling. If you get the right feeling, you're wrong, and you got to get the wrong feeling. It's just, I can't get involved with a woman who is not capable of intelligence. And yes, Jasmine is so smart. She is so clever and talented. She can make deep fakes and AI pictures of herself and fool me into thinking it's her. That's how smart and intelligent she is. And I know I'm going to get a grr from her. And I learned that she got it from James. Their relationship, they're becoming one as a couple. It's so cute. I remember those days, and then it quickly ended in a nuked ball of fire. So enjoy it while it lasts, kids. But anyway, I then was attacked on YouTube the day after by a person claiming to be another testament of Jesus Christ. This is an anti-Semitic hate channel by name. Remember? Learning of the Jews. What Kimball did was abominable. Just like his grandfather, who purposely joined the church as a polygamist. He had raped a woman and got her pregnant in 1829. Does that shatter your world, Exmos? It wasn't Joseph. It was Brigham and Heber. The underground secret combination destroying Joseph and his church, and eventually murdering him, and then stealing his religion, scriptures, and identity, but changing the name. And so, yeah, this person makes an indirect comment from academia. And so I don't know if this person was the same person. And it was a hateful comment, and such that it needed to be flagged. And YouTube did not flag it. And YouTube did not respond to my flagging of it. And so this person came back. And when you do not put bullies in their places, when you do not stop terrorism immediately, you allow them to escalate. And they will escalate to murder. Genocidal murder. If you let them go. They must be held to account. They must be punished accordingly. You cannot let this go. And YouTube let it go. And so he came back and he pulled an anti-Semitic hate comment and dropped the F-bomb. And YouTube still did not do anything to him after I reported it. And so he came back. And I got him. And I'm still supposed to believe you didn't flag me on academia. Ding, 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 ding. Never said academia. Gotcha. Searched her up on this site and found several videos just for her. That's another Tinder girlfriend, and you know it, swindler. He's the rapist. Beam and moat. That's how dangerous this person is. He may not have actually raped a woman, but he's definitely thought of it, because he put it in the comment to me to create this false narrative of me and my life. This is the beam and moat. Anybody who knows this guy, you need to know he is your enemy. Unless he's your bro. We want to rape girls too. But Mormon women, you do not understand the nature of man because you do not get taught sex ed. And so you grow up thinking that Barbie needs to be more realistic. Really? Should Barbie be more realistic? Should she have her genitalia too? If we're going to make her realistic, got to teach girls about her body. I know the porn industry has such dolls. And Japan has created a sex doll. An AI robot for men. It's $1 billion. Dear God. The price of a perfect woman is very expensive. And so let's go over it yet again. The history of the Jews and why everybody else is evil. In the 1500s, there was a group of BCE. There was this group of people who went to live on a mountaintop that they called Salem. It means peace in Hebrew. And there they lived in peace, all by themselves as a little hamlet. And they were subject to Egypt. They were tributaries to Egypt. And it's possible that Egypt didn't even know about them. They were too small to even worry about. But under David Moses IV, that's the phonetic transliteration from Egyptian into Paleo-Hebrew. Tawut Moshe in Egyptian, according to certain European country that uses certain vowels for the, thanks to the Rosetta Stone. And so I don't care about vowels. And that's why I tell you the Paleo-Hebrew version, because the Jews are talking about it in their scriptures. And the Hittites from Turkey were encroaching down into Egyptian territory, all the way down to the Valley of Megiddo. And so David Moses IV went with his army to the Valley of Megiddo to do battle to push them back into their land and reclaim Egyptian territory. And this was called the Battle of Armageddon, Har Megiddo, the mountain of Megiddo, in the Valley of Megiddo. And he would eventually win and push them back, and would then go on to expand the empire to the Euphrates River, thus fulfilling the prophecy, which was written during the Roman period of time, that the Jewish land would be from the Nile River to the Euphrates River. And everybody misinterprets that because they don't think that it actually happened. Because they think that the Israeli kings under the real King David was only in Israel. And so they create a wadi down on the southern border. And no. David Moses. That's him. You're Egyptian Pharaoh. That's your origins, Jews. You are not from Babylon. But during the Battle of Armageddon 1, because John the Revelator uses this battle to talk about the Latter Days battle, which is a parallel prophetic symbolism, type and shadow, to talk about Armageddon 2. But in the middle of the battle, David Moses went to Salem for vacation. He claims on all the stela that he was there in the midst of the fighting, and he's larger than life, large of stature, which is prophetic, but yeah. And he goes up there, and we have biblical accounts of what happened. But it was during the Roman period of time. And there's some questionable things in there with it, because supposedly he had raped a woman whose husband Uriah was in that war. And he wanted to go fight in the war. Didn't want to impregnate his wife after King David Moses impregnated her. And so David Moses, supposedly according to this biblical story, forced him to go to the front lines of the war, in which he died and was slain in battle. And so then David, taking responsibility for his assassination of the husband of the wife he just banged and knocked up, takes her to be his queen in his harem. And the baby miscarriages or aborts or it dies after childbirth. And this was supposed to be understood as a curse from God, that he was displeased with what David Moses did. And then they have sex again, and this time she gives birth to Solomon. And knowing the learning of the Jews as I do, I know exactly what happened here. Because of King David going to vacation there, the Pharaoh, visiting this little hamlet, they would have offered him one of their women as a wife. This is what is done back in those days. And their child would then be an heir, a prince, to the throne. And so princes often were placed as kings, tributary kings, to give tribute from that little township back to Egypt. And so Solomon, by Hebrew definition, is King of Peace, King Salem. Salem was the name of the hamlet. And the N at the end is a suffix determinative for king, and thus the land, kingdom. And so the kingdom of Salem, of King Salem, Solomon. He was the first king of this little hamlet after Pharaoh David Moses took a vacation and acquired another wife. And the son was then given to the people to be their king, tributary to Egypt. And so we don't know the actual name of that first king. It's not in any records that have been found yet. But that's what would have happened. And then Babylon. After Assyria comes in, takes the northern tribes and deports them into Assyria, and then places Assyrians into the northern kingdom to replace them, and thus merged with the poor northern tribes to become the Samaritans. You then have Babylon taking over Assyria and then coming in to claim their tributary lands as their tributary lands. And then they expand their kingdom by taking over Jerusalem and Judah, technically. Because Jerusalem's capital, or Jerusalem is the capital of the land of Judah. And this is where Zedekiah is put in by Nebuchadnezzar, son of Nebuchadnezzar, to give tribute back to Babylon. And then, of course, he didn't. He was still pandering to the Egyptians, giving tribute to them. And so, Daddy comes in and conquers, destroys the temple that was built after King David arrived. And that's why Solomon is credited with building the temple. But, and so then you have the Jews taken captive into Babylon, in the city of Ur of Babylon. This is not Ur that Abraham came from. This is not Babel of the Tower of Babel. That was Lebanon. Abraham came from Egypt. That's where the Jews are writing from, are the Egyptian documents. And so, yes, even though it's Osiris with the one interpretation, there are multi-levels of interpretation. It's a visionary language. There are multiple levels of understanding and translation that are involved. And so even though Joseph only does one interpretation with chapter 1 of the book of Abraham, it's still correct. Joseph Smith is purposely using that interpretation to teach us something. You need to look beyond Egyptologists claiming that it's not an actual translation of the hieroglyphs, because they too have no clue what the learning of the Egyptians and the language of the Egyptians is. All they know are the Rosetta Stone, the learning of the Greeks and the language of the Egyptians. Anyway, Alexander the Great of the Greeks then takes over everything, and in so doing takes over, under the Greek authority now, the Jerusalem temple that is rebuilt when Persia allows the Jews to go back to Jerusalem and build their temple. And so they're offering pig sacrifices and having bacon and ham for dinner. Totally desecrating the temple of the Jews. And so the Maccabean revolt with Hanukkah took back the temple, and the Jews are now able to cleanse it and offer up hamburgers instead of ham. And so then the Romans come in after a Ptolemaic period. And they allow the Jews to keep using their temple, but now they've got Roman guards all around it. They are keeping a close eye on the Jews. And so the Jews during this period are deeply concerned that they're being held hostage and that the burden of the Romans is too great. And so they start writing apocalyptic scripture and talk about a man like Moses, who is a future Christ king who would save them from their bondage. And so Deuteronomy, their law, talks about how this man like Moses is going to be their Christ. And so the book of Exodus, it's not literal history. None of the Jewish scriptures are literal history. It's all apocalyptic literature of a future time period, and they reveal the dates of when he's going to come. These guys are legitimate prophets. They're not just telling bedtime stories trying to give false hope to what became the destruction of the Jews with the Second Temple being destroyed, 72 CE. Because these were written after that event as well, before, during, and after. And so the ones that were writing about it, about the Roman period time, after the temple had already been destroyed, those readers would know this. They would know that the temple's already been destroyed. And so that the ending of the story has to do with their future king, Christ, Messiah, who is to come. That is the hope that they have. And as the Daniel prophecy of Nebuchadnezzar's dream comes to pass, it is fulfilled with Roman Emperor Constantine. Roman iron creating Christianity. Creating Christianity. The Jews didn't evolve to create Jesus. No. Constantine, the first Creed of Nicaea. That is where the birth of Christianity began. And that creed makes it very clear that Constantine has stolen the Jewish documents and turned them into literal history, creating the name Jesus from the character of some of those Jewish books into the name of their Christ, and calling him Homoousion, because those congregational leaders that Eusebius called them bishops all had a different nature and character of their Christ, and the names of their Christ were not all Jesus. There were Hercules, Perseus, Horus, David, Abraham, Noah. Those are all Gospels too. Samson, Sun King. And they were forced to give it up in order to be preserved under Constantine and his new Christian religion. They were all separate, and now they had to give it all up to become under Constantine, now called Christians. Which, yes, Christians under the Christ, which he then, because he turned it literal history, said it's now the real Jesus who's not real, Homoousion. He already came, and he failed. The Gospel's authors, even Matthew, trying to say he fulfilled all of the prophecies, still fails to save the Jews. He therefore cannot be the Christ of the Jews because he failed. But that's not what the Jewish author is talking about. He's predicting the future of the future Christ. And so it's all a checklist for people to use to find the real Christ with the date that that Jewish author, yes, even in Matthew, gave us. And so this was another anti-Semitic hate from a new leader of a nation. That's what all this is about. The Jews were Egyptian. And then you have the threat from Babylon first, as the northern kingdom was part of Egypt. That was the first anti-Semitic group. And yes, Babylon are Semites. Egyptians are Hamido. And so it's technically not anti-Semitism. It's anti-Hamido. But in so calling the Jews anti-Semites, you are being anti-Semitic, which is anti-Hamido. But nonetheless, that's what Constantine did. He's hating the Jews. He replaced their religion. He replaced their scriptures. He replaced the interpretation of their scriptures and replaced their Christ. And so this interpretation is no longer a prophecy of the future. It's now saying, hey, the prophecies are actually about Jesus who's already come, died, and failed. But he gets a second chance in some future date that some person put in, no man knows the day or the hour. It's all over the book. But this is what happens when you replace the Jews. All of those prophecies are now hidden from Christians. They have no clue what they're looking for. And they think that Jesus is coming. They're going to be disappointed because Constantine made him up. Homoousion, not real. And so, another 300 years passes, And now in 600 CE, a Saudi Arabian named Muhammad, wrong name, supposed to be Emmanuel, not Muhammad, decides that he's now the fulfillment of the Jewish prophecies of the Jewish Christ. And so all Islam calls him the prophet because of the Jewish prophecy in Deuteronomy 18, verse 15 through 19. And he claims he goes to the top of the mountain and receives from Allah the Quran, just like Moses did. Because he now is claiming to be the man like Moses. He's a false prophet, but is it 2 billion in the world today of Islam? Just like 2 billion of Christianity? Isn't it interesting that both of these hate groups of the Jews are both 2 billion each? And the Jews, 16 million worldwide. And yet the Jews are the threat? And so he creates his religion, that's Islam, Muslim is the culture, and he goes on a conversion mission to murder anybody who does not join him and destroys the villages as a scorched earth conversion therapy. And so, yes, enforcing his religious beliefs with the sword, false prophet, terrorist, just like Roman Emperor Constantine. Christians and Islam are both terrorists, not just haters of the Jews. Deniers of the truth, deniers of religion, of the Jews, deniers of the Jews and their history. And so thus, these 4 billion combined masses of people all over the world are purposely ignoring the history, not just of the Jews, but of their own religious origins, and are claiming to be the victims. Oh, these 16 million Jews are so mean. They're trying to genocidally murder us, as they are now forgetting October 7th, as the Jews are finding out that the UN was a part of October 7th. Just last night, they had found that Hamas had a direct tunnel to the UN headquarters there in Gaza. And thus why they attacked on October 7th. It was a coordinated Islamic attack to use the Gazan people as Allah's martyrs in this holy war, so that Islam can take back the land from the Jews, when their land is actually Saudi Arabia. You need to go knock on the door of King Mohammed bin Salman. Did you see what he did in his name? Or his parents did in naming him this? Mohammed, Islam, son of Solomon, King of Peace of the Jews. Yeah. Haters of the Jews all. And so by ignoring the history and the origins, they're now trying to claim that all are equal there in the Middle East. And so thus, everybody talks about, well, a two-state nation is the best way to do this and handle this. Palestine and Israel living together in harmony. Israel and Palestine live together in perfect harmony, side by side. That is hateful, because it is ignorant based. ignoring the history of the Jews, ignoring the origin history of Islam. And Christians are on the sideline cheering on the Jews because they know Jesus is coming to murder everybody. And thus, I found out that the woman who attacked the megachurch was pro-Islam. Pro-Palestine, but it means pro-Islam. Palestine is the nationality. Muslim is the culture. Islam is the religion. And so the megachurch obviously teaches about the coming of Jesus in Jerusalem, not according to the Jewish prophecies, because they now take it literally. It's literal history. It's not the symbol, type, and shadow that is meant. And I've done the pictures for you over and 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 over. America is the prophecy. And Joseph Smith knew this. Article of Faith, number 10. We believe in the literal gathering of Israel to New Jerusalem in America, not Israel. But all of Christian and Islam all believe that it's Jerusalem, that Jesus is coming in the midst of the mushroom cloud, where Christians will be raptured, and all the heathens will be left behind. And so, yeah, they're purposely causing Armageddon 2 to fulfill it, thinking that by fulfilling it, they're the good guys rather than the villains of the story of prophecy. And so the news taken over by Islam. Biden threatened by Islam in the progressive movement is caving. Biden is telling the Jews, don't go into Rafah, stop it, stay back. But the Israelis have to get their people back. They're being held hostage. They've been kidnapped. The parents are blaming Israel for not getting their loved ones back from the kidnappers. And so here they go to get their people back. Let my people go. And Islam says no. Do you see what's being done here? The Jews are looking for their Messiah to save them, and Joseph Smith says, no, sorry, it's the Mormon church. Brigham Young will eventually come into the church and take it over and murder me and start this abominable great church called the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and hold Mormons in bondage with tithing and death threats for revealing the sacred secret that they're going to overthrow America and the world. To be the rulers on 8 April 2024, the big conference announcement. I've got those videos all set up. I got inspiration this morning. We're all ready to go. Yep. And so, yeah. And nobody gets it. Nobody wants to get it. Everybody's all enraged that they have to be right and everybody else is wrong. So that they seek and destroy, they mock and they laugh at the actual Christ. And in the Book of Mormon, Alma and Amulek are arrested for preaching the gospel. They were cast into prison, and after 3 days there came many lawyers, judges, priests, teachers who were of the profession of Nehor from chapter 1, enforcing his religious beliefs with a sword, killing Gideon. And so they all came to the prison to see the animals in their cages. And they were trying to trap him, trying to catch him in a lie, and showing that they're ignorant and beaming the mote. And a judge stood before them and said, "Why do you not answer the words of this people?" Is there a question? I didn't hear a question. All I heard was mockery. Excuse me. Know ye not that I have power to deliver you unto the flame, deliver you up unto the flames? Answer our questions and get trapped in your words, or I'm going to burn you the day that shall burn as an oven. Book of Mormon, learning of the Jews, remember? Not literal history. And he commanded them to speak, silent as a lamb. And it came to pass that they departed and went their ways, but came again on the morrow, and the judge also smote them again on their cheeks. And they turned the other cheek. And many came forth also and smote them, saying, Will ye stand again and judge this people, and condemn our For Strength of the Youth pamphlet? Or the Book of Mormon, calling it the learning of the Jews. If ye have such great power, Alma is here the Christ. Moses. They have believed that there's only one Christ and he has supernatural powers. So here they are, projecting. You claim to be the Christ. Well, the Christ has supernatural powers. Why aren't you supernatural? Ha ha ha, you're not the Christ. Why do you not deliver yourselves? Hey, that's just like that Jesus character of that Jewish record when he was on the cross, not a pole of the Romans, which was the date of 8 April 2024. And people mocked him. The sign above said, King of the Jews. And here he was crucified. The death day, sign in the heavens. Talk about by Samuel Lamani. And sure enough, they say, if you have such great power as the Christian Christ, deliver yourself. I'm the Jewish Christ, King of the Jews, remember? I bleed. That's what's so tragic, is that in Bruce Willis's Unbreakable, his son, now learning that his dad is a superhero, thinks that he has to prove that his dad is a superhero to his friends. And so he gets his dad's gun and he's going to shoot dad. Dear God. And so then they say, and they gnash their teeth, which is sarcasm, and they spit on him, and they say, how shall we look when we are damned? The same condition is with Abinadi and the false priests of King Noah. They too are looking like damned souls from hell. There's the beam and mote within the text. That's how you look when you are damned. Those Mormons, that's how you look when you're damned. Any Mormon who denies the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith, that's how you look when you are damned. Isn't this fun? So many great things to learn from the Book of Mormon. And 55 minutes. Perfect for bathing and shaving.